say something, aren't you?
Yep.
I heard a speaker start out his speech. He wasn't a Toastmaster. He was a guru, Indian guru. And after he said that, he said, enlightenment is a little bit like that. I always remembered his opening because he kept me waiting, and it was an amazing opening. So I'm going to talk about this kind of opening later on in the speech. When Ollie asked me to talk about, how to have a winning speech, I thought, what can I say that hasn't been said already and that, everybody knows? And I thought, nothing. Thank you. But I promised Ali, so I am going to say some things about how to study, how to practice, how to make an effort, the judges, and metaphor. Study. I'm lucky I get to teach public speaking, so I have all the speeches from Toastmasters from 1985 till now, and I've watched them all, and I've decided on the 10 best, and I show my classes every time. So I've seen those speeches many, many times, and I think you can really learn a lot from watching those. So I encourage you to beg, borrow, steal, or if you have to, buy them, and watch them. You can learn a lot. You can't learn how to make a winning speech, but you can learn what a winning speech feels like. And when you watch them a lot, like I do, you also pick up little mannerisms from the speakers, which is kind of interesting. And the third thing you can learn is that the best speaker does not always win. In 2006, Ed Hearn won. He's not here, so I can say it. No way that was the best speech. So, and I think the best three speakers I ever saw were Lance Miller, Rich Hopkins, and Julie Esquerra. And I have my top 10 if anyone's interested. You can ask me later. Practice. Okay, practice you can go into three things. When you're first writing your speech, you're going to get feedback from people you trust, you're really good speakers, and you're going to remodel. Your speech is going to change a lot. But after that, how are you going to practice? Well, you're going to practice at home, but you can go out and find live audiences. I did that. I would ask strangers on the bus, I'm going to be in a speech contest. Oh, really? Yeah. You want to hear my speech? I did that many times. I went to the playground in Hongdae, and I went around and said, anyone want to hear a speech? And I got 20 people. And, yeah, maybe half of them understood it. That's okay. And, you can also go on Skype. But I think when you give a live speech, you really see what your speech is, especially if you give it to a non-Toastmasters audience. Toastmasters are great. We're spoiled. But give it to someone who's not a Toastmaster. Can you keep their interest? That's really, really good. And what I also encourage you to do is keep giving your speech after the contest. Okay, you guys have given your championship speeches, and you guys have championship speeches. You've worked so hard. Don't give it up. Keep giving your speech. I actually gave my 2011 speech twice yesterday. And my other speech from this year, I've given it many times. Does Jason Mraz write a song and just sing it once? Like, I can't sing it again. I already did it. Or Shakespeare? No, keep doing your speeches. In fact, I challenge all you champions, and I mean all of you champions, to have 3 speeches that you can do anytime at the drop of a hat for the rest of your life. Because that's our art. So have them ready. Keep them. You work so hard. You can give them at parties. You can give them for family occasions, company picnics, first dates. So would you like now to know how to become a champion speaker and how to be up here next year or how to win the international contest?
Yes.
Yeah, you want to know. I'm going to quote a guy, my favorite speaker, Lance Miller. You want to know how?
How?
Who cares?
Good
Right?
point.
You cannot control the judges in the speech. Some of the judges are not really listening. Some of the judges don't understand your speech. Some of the judges don't like you. There's only one judge that really matters, and that's you.
Yep.
Okay? Now, I had a speech this year. I wanted to be in the speech contest national, but I didn't make it. And people told me that's not a championship speech, and I agreed it wasn't. But I didn't want to change it because I love that speech, and that speech is my life, and it's kind of like a diary. So I didn't change it, and I love it, and I'm glad I didn't change it. So, how you feel about your speech is really the important thing. Also, keep trying. Okay, Ali beat me in 2007. Sungju beat me in 2008. Michael beat me in 2009. You didn't beat me. Amy beat me this year. But keep coming back. You know, why not? Because if you're in a speech contest, it forces you to do your best, to be your best. And that's why I do it. I thrive on it. And the other thing is, don't be boring. You know, I'm very sympathetic to my audience. I'll do anything not to be boring, including taking off my clothes. If that's what it takes. Also, the last thing is metaphors. Metaphors are very powerful. And try to get some metaphor in your speech to connect a deeper meaning to your feelings. And I'm going to talk about another kind of metaphor, which I started the speech with, I call meta-metaphor. And metaphor is, for example, how many people have seen Dead Poets Society, the movie with Robin Williams? And what do you remember about that movie? Standing on the chair, right? That's what you remember, because that is something you don't do in a classroom. So meta-metaphor, you know, we have all these conventions whenever we do something. And if you break a convention, that's going to be memorable. But you have to do it in an intelligent way, in a way that has meaning. So, you know, when we give a speech, we don't eat a banana normally, right? You don't smoke a cigarette when you give a speech. You should stand up when you give a speech, and you should face the audience, and you should have clothes on, right? When you give a speech, right? But some people didn't. Like Darren LaCroix was an international champion. He fell down on the floor, and he stayed there for a minute and talked to the audience. He broke the rule. And Rory Baden came out, and he started his speech like this. And he talked for about a minute. So he broke a convention. I broke a convention. But it can be very memorable. And the only danger is that your action can take over your speech. So people remember I took my clothes off, but no one really knows why except Ali. He's the only one. So what I would like to do is, I'm tired of being remembered as, get this, all right? Get this picture. I'm tired of being remembered as the guy who took his clothes off. So I'm going to close my speech and try to change that.